Right. Hi, everyone. We're Among the Realms, and today our show is on past lives, reincarnation, and soul memory.
Yes.
It's a great topic.
Isn't it?
It's Dana, myself, and Rodney today.
Hello?
Mark wasn't able to make it, but he's here in spirit.
His soul memory.
Yeah, his soul memory.
Yeah. But this is a really interesting topic, and it's actually one of our favorites because we do a lot of past life regressions. So right before we started, we were actually just talking about how when we're drawn to certain areas and things, and it's almost like it clicks, that you feel like you've, not just that you've been there, but there's something inside your soul that feels like
Familiar?
or whether it was from there.
You recognize it, yes.
Yeah, and we were just sharing a couple of stories, and Dana was sharing her Mayan story, which is really interesting. So share it with the listeners.
I've sort of always been drawn to the Mayan culture and the art, and I would read everything I could about it. And then I did several trips, 3 or 4 trips down to the Yucatan Peninsula, to Chichen Itza and Uxmal and Palenque, the big Mayan pyramids. And I went on a group trip with Mayan scholars on a Usumacinta River right after the war. And we, they were Mayan scholars except for me, which is, and I just wanted to go, and it was just the most extraordinary trip because we would camp on the riverbank at night, and then wherever we could, and there were temples that had not been researched. They were all covered in jungle, and the only way to get back to there was on the river, and there were no electric motors. No, because there were too many rapids. You couldn't do electric motors on the rapids. So we did raft, we went over the rapids to get to where we were going, and we found basic temples. And I remember walking through a corridor going into one of the temples, and there were hieroglyphs all over the walls, and I could read them. And I had looked at a book,
Wow.
I know I had looked at a book, but I remember thinking, oh my God, I can read this. I don't know how I can do this, but I can read this. Yeah. I know what this says, and I checked with some of the other people with me who knew better than me this stuff. Mm-hmm. And they said, and they didn't even know how to read it.
Yeah.
But I did.
How did you end up getting to go on that trip? What was that? What do you remember how
I saw it advertised?
As soon as you saw this thing for Mayans, and you were like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I saw it advertised, yes, in the New York Times when I was working in New York City. And I saved up my money. It was like 6 months in the future, and it was a rafting trip with...
That's so cool.
With scholars to go to check out the Mayan pyramids in the jungle. Mm-hmm. And I thought, whoa, I have to do that.
Yeah.
So...
Just like that. You just immediately knew you had to go.
I had to go.
Yeah.
So, we flew down, individually, to Merida, Mexico. And then we met up with a school bus that they had driven down from Tennessee that had all the rafts and the kayaks on it. Mm-hmm. And everybody brought their own tent. And, you brought your own supplies. And then we drove for a day into the jungle up to the point of the river where we had to go in. And then for the next 12 days, we were on the river.
Wow.
12 days.
Wow.
Not a single electric motor sound.
Wow.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And then we would camp at night, and the Indians, beautiful Indian ladies, would dress up in their best dresses and paddle across the river and bring us fresh vegetables. And we would trade. So foods we had, the kind of foods they couldn't get, and we would trade for fresh vegetables. And then each night we would camp on the side of the river. And I remember one night I was dreaming. I dreamed that there were jaguars running around my tent. And I woke up in the morning and there's footprints all around my tent.
Wow.
Cat prints. And then this Indian comes out of the jungle. There's 12 of us on this trip. He walks straight up to me. He hands me a tooth. He says, "For you, Jaguar."
Wow.
Just like that.
Unrelated. No, I mean related to your dream, but no prior conversation or anything, right? He gave you a tooth of a jaguar, and you had dreamt of jaguar that night.
Yes, they're running around my tent. Yes,
Wow.
and it was like everybody says. They're sitting there with their mouths open, watching
That's
this
so
happen.
cool.
You know, and I think he was a shaman.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a shaman, and he saw my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I'm not afraid to say that. I think that's what happened.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Sounds like it.
And,
Yeah. You still have the tooth?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's good psychometry. You should do psychometry on that. Try to meditate with it and see if you can get anything.
I
be
haven't
cool.
done it in a long time.
That'd be cool,
I
yeah.
used to bring it to Jackie's classes.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
Yeah. A
sweet.
couple times. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a truth about that.
That's
thing,
so
you know?
cool.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had it put a little gold cap on it so it wouldn't, the back end wouldn't break off, and put a little, so I could put it on a chain around my neck. And, you know, that was one of the experiences that I had there. And, but being able to read the hieroglyphs, that just still stuck with me. I don't know how I was able to do that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And,
That's the soul memory
yeah,
we were talking about that you brought in, and you've always been drawn.
very much,
To-
strongly. And then, you know, I did a couple of trips with Trix, you know, and we would go down there to the different temples.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going into one temple and sitting at the very top of it without knowing that it turns out later it was the temple of the jaguar.
Wow.
And just
Guys, can't make that up.
can't make it up.
That's your spirit animal.
Yeah,
That's something.
It was my spirit animal down there, and
Yeah.
it was just. People like to say that their jaguar is your spirit animal, but let me tell you,
Yeah.
I think it was mine for real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I brought a picture that maybe you can upload
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah, sure, totally.
And it was we're walking around the temples, and you know they had these tall pillars, stelas, and carved. They're all carved. And I looked at this carving, and I looked at my friend Trix. I says, "Trix, you got to take my picture. That's me. That's me up there." And gave my profile, and my profile is identical
Yeah.
to that figure carved in that stela.
It is.
It's
an amazing
freaky,
picture. Yeah.
you know, because I've got the cheekbones, the eyes, the way the eyes are,
Yeah.
the way the nose is,
Yeah.
everything. And it was just
You in a past life.
me in a past life right there carved into the side of that temple, you know.
Yep.
And so
You know, if past life has having a connection as a Mayan or being part of the Mayan civilization, you're part of the civilization that ascended out of the earth, because the Mayans are believed to have complete, as a whole consciousness of a collective consciousness of people.
Right.
They were able to ascend to the next world as a whole, because there's nobody here, there's none left. There
right,
are
that's
no
because
Mayans.
that's why all of a sudden these civilizations
They
disappeared.
They
right?
were so
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
collective. That's the whole idea. Apparently, if we can just come together collectively, we can rise to the next level of dimension, like they did, and the Atlanteans or whoever else.
Right.
You know, but they're famous for ascending and doing it correctly. Highly spiritual.
Well, yeah, and quite vicious too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't really know the history of too much behind the.
Well, there was a lot of
Mayans.
sacrifice.
A war, a lot of sacrifice.
There was a lot
yeah.
of sacrifice. They had the pyramids. They had these troughs that the blood would run down.
It's crazy.
Specifically, because they would take people up to the top
Yeah.
and sacrifice them, and the blood would run down the temple steps.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Wonder
the
who they were
temple
talking
steps
to.
are like they were short and high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you can't. They won't let you walk up to the top of the temples anymore. But when I was there was no guardrails.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
So
Don't have vertigo.
yeah. Well. Yeah. You know, you sort of crawl up on your hands and knees, and if you want,
Yeah.
you could sit, walk all the way back down.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I just wow. I would love to go back, but I wouldn't want to see it with guardrails all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Well,
it's
probably
good.
it takes away from the beauty of it too. You know.
Well,
just like the original history part. I mean, they have to do that to be safe. But back when they made them, that's not what they were thinking of.
no, and when they first, you know, and when I was there was no, you know, people could fall down if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got to see it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to crawl up to the top of those temples.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, it's amazing the like, just like when we were talking, just what every soul holds something, and maybe people don't realize, wow, I don't know how I'm so good at this, or why I'm so drawn to that, and those are the little pieces that make us up. And we always talk about, like, sometimes there's birthmarks on us that relate to maybe something that happened to us in a previous life. And when people have done regressions, they've found that out. They've had, like, a big birthmark on something. They found out they were a soldier in a past life, or some other kind of wound caused it, and things like that. And I was sharing that the first time I ever went to Hawaii was when my family was stationed out there, because my brother-in-law was in the service, and I always wanted to visit there, and I never knew why, because you always hear how nice it is and how pretty it is, but the minute I got off the plane, there was something about the energy there, and it was just
crawl up to the top of those temples.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's amazing the like, just like when we were talking, just what every soul holds something, and maybe people don't realize, wow, I don't know how I'm so good at this, or why I'm so drawn to that, and those are the little pieces that make us up. And we always talk about, like, sometimes there's birthmarks on us that relate to maybe something that happened to us in a previous life. And when people have done regressions, they've found that out. They've had, like, a big birthmark on something. They found out they were a soldier in a past life, or some other kind of wound caused it, and things like that. And I was sharing that the first time I ever went to Hawaii was when my family was stationed out there, because my brother-in-law was in the service, and I always wanted to visit there, and I never knew why, because you always hear how nice it is and how pretty it is, but the minute I remember going, it just felt like I was home. And so as soon as I hit on that land, it was an immediate...
It triggered it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I still, it's beautiful, but it was just something about, like, it's the energy. The energy there was like, it was like you just felt like you knew it before. Like when you came, it was like you went on a trip and then you came back home. And so it was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and some people, like, we always hear about what we were talking about, the, like, child prodigies that,
right.
Maybe they could play Mozart and Beethoven at the age of 5 because they just brought all that talent with them from a previous life.
Yeah, from someplace.
Yeah. I mean, our memories hold a lot of things. We don't always realize that it's sitting in our stuff.
Well, and I haven't talked about this in a really long time. It's been quite a while since I even talked about this, but it's right on top of me again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
it's one of these extraordinary things that it's going to go with me to my grave.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I won't go to my grave.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll rise up.
Yeah.
There was a story of a woman, as an adult, because we hear a lot about children, which we're going to talk about too. But there was a woman, and she insisted she had a life in Ireland, and that she was just, like, obsessed with this past life in Ireland, and she actually went and found her past life family in Ireland, and proved all the things that she was, what she felt she knew, and names and things like that. And I mean, those are crazy stories where you can't make, like we say, we always say you can't make this up, but when you're actually hearing accounts that are documented and researched, and they find they're validated.
Right.
Like, there's a story, it's a wild story, and I don't remember it, like, exactly how it went, and I looked around for it, but not that hard. I found it on an article, and it was a story that somebody had told, and it was backed up by this article in the paper of a murder that happened a long time ago. And it was a girl who had a past life memory of being murdered, and she was murdered by her neighbor or somebody close to her with an axe. And she said she kept having these dreams most of her life, and then one day she had this flash memory of everything that happened to her in her past life. And it was like one of those instances where she passed and then immediately reincarnated.
Oh, wow.
She was reborn into the same life her murderer was still in.
Oh.
And apparently she had such a vivid dream memory of this person. He was still alive. They found him, and apparently they traced him to the murder weapon and convicted him through her past life memory. Now, I don't want to butcher it. I want to find it because it's a real story. It was a whole big thing on it.
So he murdered her.
Yeah.
He
married this. He murdered
in a
this
past life. In a past
so
life.
in her past life. So I guess when this guy was younger, he had murdered this little girl, and never got away with it. 60s, whatever, 50 something, 60 years later, this other person claims to have been her in a past life and described him, described where it happened, described the weapon, and they traced it and they linked it to him, and he was convicted. And it was like this insane story that just makes no sense to anybody. You know,
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes once you think about it to us, like now that we're understanding these past life stories, like it does make sense. It's just a mind blow. You know, it takes a while to kind of set that in.
And reincarnation is the concept that our soul goes from physical
to vehicle,
existence to it's a person or or animal or whatever it is it chooses to come in over and over. But a lot of times it's because we still have lessons to learn. Maybe we were in a life and we didn't finish, or there are things where when we're coming in we're still matched up and around, like we call a soul tribe or whatever. But sometimes you meet people or groups of people, or it could be your best friend, it could be your mom, and then you find out like your mom was your husband in a past life, or maybe the husband you have now was actually a husband 2 lives before.
The whole soul tribe thing. When you like, what is it? You basically like make almost like an agreement with other souls to work with
soul
each other.
Contracts and things
like
that.
The four of us are going to incarnate. I'll be in Iowa, you'll be in Florida, whatever.
Yeah.
And then in college, we'll all meet at some point.
And also what we
like something crazy like that.
What we choose to experience in our life, right? So those are the things that we, we do. But there was another.
Can you make arrangements ahead of time?
You mean for like who you're going to come across, or
who you're going to
we usually cross?
Like obviously you don't remember when we're here. It's the pre.
But when that would be a great show to do, by the way. Soul contracts, soul tribes, and things like that. So we should cover that.
It does bring us into that,
since we're doing this stuff, because understanding how that works and why you come across certain people and.
So like,
you
how
have
do I know this person? I know you, but I know how.
Yeah.
Like I know you, and you know me, but I've never met you before.
Yep.
It's just one of those soul past. Like we just cross paths momentarily at a job or like at a concert, and I was like, and then.
Well, that's why that would definitely be.
There's something
we definitely
there.
have to note that.
You don't just
cover that
accidentally
topic.
like feel like you know somebody. There's a reason why we're feeling it. And
Well, that's like a deja vu thing, which is part of the reincarnation thing. Is the deja vu, right?
Deja vu is always so mysterious to me.
Yeah.
I have such a hard time grasping on what it could be.
What it
Deja
is.
vu. I know, like it's the repeating of certain things.
Yeah, like when because we have talked about that. Where
like what's the function of
it?
it?
We feel like we've already done it before.
We have. Oh yeah.
And then we're doing it. We're doing it again. There was a story with. This is a pretty popular one. His name was Ryan. It was a child, and he insisted he was this famous Hollywood agent, and he had all these pieces of information and all of these things that he was telling people, and they actually did research. Like there was a researcher that went back and verified, I think they said over 50 things that he was the agent. I think his name was Marty Martin, something like that.
Marty Supreme.
And he was talking about all these people that he was their agent, and there was no way that it was so long ago that he could have had any of that information. I mean, those are like the one you said with the little girl. There's a lot of young children that remember their past lives, and when they're telling their parents, they're either going to be like, wait a minute, I'm thinking they're seeing an invisible person or making it up, or wait, there's something to this. And a lot of people now, they're researching and bringing them to people who do this and seeing if what they're saying,
because like you could
is
technically
true.
Like as a human you can raise your frequency and vibration and kind of tune into these memories a lot more easy. So that kind of shows like the veil that we have between our dimensions and worlds is kind of like, you know, thin out the amnesia we have between lives to remember. Like you wouldn't want to remember all your lives, I'm sure, because it would kind of mess everything up. But you can do the regressions, the meditations.
Each life we're in has a purpose. So if we carried every single memory
It would never
from every life, there was always some residual things that pull in, especially if you're going from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. You know,
like certain gurus in certain places of the world, they claim that certain very high spiritual ones can remember up to 99,000 lives they've had before
crazy.
this, and they're like, this is when they like those guys like claim to be, this is my last one. I'm going to be ascended. This is my last go around.
There's lots of people that
I'm
say
just
that.
here
They're
to
like,
help.
I'm a really old soul and I'm done.
Like this cycle is like, okay,
I don't want to do any more lessons.
next world.
Yeah. But yeah, kids. I mean,
There's
they had that show that did like all of those things with kids where they were sharing, you know, like all the stories on what they had. I don't know if that's on anymore, if there are any with that.
What do you do with the information? Like you can see this child sketching out a military
drawing
plane
pictures.
down to the last like gun barrel, and the kid's like 4 years old and can barely even talk, but he's drawing this detailed sketch of these people and remembering names and pointing to parts of the map, like this is where I crashed, this is where I got shot, this is where, and the parents are just like, it's all validated. Here's the paperwork. Here's the war. Here's the maps.
There was actually one that found the pilot they were with when they passed, and they found the pilot was still alive. Of the guy who had passed.
And there's this kid. He's looking at like, are you really in there?
Yeah, he was
are you
a
in
very
that kid?
elderly man, and
it's amazing.
He did verify every single thing.
When you're a little kid and you can remember all that stuff, I mean, that your life has been taken over by somebody else. So then when do they outgrow it? Do they?
Some of them don't remember, you know, that they don't remember because when you're young, you haven't learned to really shut anything out.
Right.
You're just sharing thoughts or things
you're
or
so
feelings that are
open,
coming in.
You're just.
And some of them end up using, like we were talking about, the ones who are very, gifted and things like that. And they end up,
that's you know, playing an instrument. That's something,
or drawing or art
like
or anything where maybe they are able to do science formulas and things like that, and they shouldn't even know that stuff yet. So, but some of them end up using it. It's something that they're prodigies, like we talked about. And but others,
you think that's what a prodigy is? Then somebody who's picked up from a previous something.
When there's been a lot of research done. But you know, we're more spiritual. We obviously see a lot of the gray. We're not black and white
it's not
only.
just black and white.
And figure it all out just by the brain. Where we know there's something that in your soul that you're this gifted and you know how to do these things that nobody can explain, and it just feels so natural, and it feels like you didn't even have to try. It's just right in you. It's like part of who you are. And that's why we say it's part of your soul. Your soul is drawn to doing that. It's sharing it, right? So like, how can you explain how somebody can read sheet music at 5 years old that never read sheet music?
Right.
I wonder if there's a lot of things that parents haven't told like their adult children, like, oh, when you were a kid you used to draw all, because like I would assume that some people would eventually, like, it would, like a dream, it would slowly fade away as they get older.
Well, some they do. Some they'll say, oh yeah, my kid used to talk about having a life with blah blah, but it was never
because
expanded on.
They didn't treat him seriously.
Yeah, go play with your toys, or go. Don't worry, that's just a dream. That's just that's another thing. When somebody, like when you're a kid and you're like seeing this for what it is, and you get told by this adult you trust, like it's just a dream, it's not real. You okay, not real. Next, then you automatically that wall's there now.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there's adults. Some of us have dreams that we can't figure out.
Yeah.
And we're like, I don't remember that ever happening.
Yeah.
There's different characters, different people, different faces, and sometimes it is we're having memories of something,
I think
and there are memories, but maybe it's from a different lifetime.
I think we go back in our past lives and our dreams a lot, because you know how many dreams I've had were like, oh, I remember having this house. This was mine. I remember this. I remember where I can in my dream, I can not all the time, but it's happened in the past.
Or is it an alternate reality?
Yeah, or am I literally just jumping
We always
in
go
reality?
back there.
Yeah, you don't know, do you? But, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I've been here before. But I felt like me, lucid. I felt like Rodney, but I knew like, oh, I don't know any of these people, but I definitely know this room, 100%. And I remember like waking up from the dream, and I had this dream when I was a kid. The same exact literal dream, so that I think that maybe that has to do with something.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, if you have
past
the
life
same
related.
dream over and over again.
Yeah, there's a couple of times in my life where I've had the same dream, but it was like, I hadn't had that dream since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember that car. I remember that house. I remember that, but I've never been there in this life. I don't know,
Well, even like, all of us have done past life regression. So there are times when we've gone back and learned about a past life that we're like, oh, that's right. Like, I do like this, or, I do remember that, you know what I mean? And, I mean, has there ever been a specific past life that you found in a regression that really resonated with you?
Yes, and I looked it up, and I found it. I found something very similar to it, and it was like the 1800s, late 1800s in London, at a scientific convention, and I remember it was the way those doctors things are, with the high seats going up around the central circular kind of thing, and I was one of the guest speakers, and I was one or two women in the whole thing, and I was able to walk through matter. And what I was trying to explain to them, how to walk through matter. And it was just the strangest thing. And then I came out of that, and I looked it up. I went and looked up things, and I found something similar to that particular kind of meeting in that particular date in London.
Oh, wow.
And after the I think I did it in your class.
Yes, it's familiar. I remember you.
That regression,
Because you guys used to get some really good stuff when you guys did, your memories and things like that. And that was one of our things. We always said if it was something we could find or research and give it some validation.
Also, validation, the way you structure, because the one regression we did, as we were under the regression, you did their meditation, and there was a brief time of silence where we were doing our whatever. And that's when you would go from you would be in your seat and you would be writing.
Oh, I'd write down what I was getting.
And at the end, we would all be done writing, and we'd compare. There wasn't like a thing where I would tell my story, then you would write something. We were all done writing. And I remember we're going through all of our different scenarios, and I remember having this like, the scenario was vivid, but the faces were smoky. I couldn't make out any faces, but I could make out like the people who were there. And I don't remember, I have it written down from that day, but I remember there was like this dark void, and I remember seeing this person, this big dude, long hair, very mad, very angry, like almost like an animation where the anger is like coming off of him like smoke, you can see. And I'm with siblings, and we're all young, and we're getting yelled at and stuff like that. And it was almost like I can see in like black and white, maybe like it was old, like we had like the old school, like, back in like the 1800s when all the kids wore suits, everyone wore suits all the time.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but like I don't remember it being the 1800s. I didn't know what time
little tablets.
It was just like little flashes of like images
Slates.
of like, I can feel what the scenario was, but I didn't know exactly. And there was a lot of fear, a lot of like, I guess anguish and stuff. And I remember him like pointing fingers, and I was just sitting there like terrified, and there was nobody else. There was just us, a couple of kids, and this person. And then that was pretty much it. And I came out of it like, oh, I saw this face, I felt this, I felt that. And then after you went through everybody's, you got to me, and you said you had a past life where you were one of 3 siblings. You were the oldest one, but even as the oldest, you were only like 11 or 12. and your father was a very, very, very horrific alcoholic and abused, and you took your siblings and you ran and you left. You never, and you guys restarted somewhere else, and that's it. And then
Wow.
And that felt right.
Well, yeah. I mean, it felt exactly like what I was seeing. This person. I remember being. I was a kid, and there were other kids with me, and I remember looking at this person yelling and screaming. This big guy, and then you had said I was, but we didn't talk about it. You had written it down, and you read what you had wrote after I wrote, and it matched up pretty much.
Yeah.
Like
That happens sometimes, though.
Yeah.
you completed the psychic part of it, of the scenario.
Yeah.
And I remember just having images and feelings of just like really dark times. And it was a long time ago. I remember being young. I remember, feeling horrible. And then, you validated what that was.
I remember years before even before I started with my own business that I did a past life regression with someone. It was a big group regression. And I remember what I saw was I went back and I was seeing myself. It was really weird. I could see myself looking at myself in this scenario. And I was holding my hands over someone. It was a woman. And the husband was like in the doorway behind me, and he was watching me, and I was trying to help her, heal her. And mind you, I wasn't doing any of that yet. So I see myself trying to heal this woman who was sick, and then the husband is in the doorway seeing what I'm doing, and he goes and tells, because, when you're looking at a past life, it's flashing into different images. He goes and tells on me. Now, this is way back in the ages where it was during, like, witch trials and things, because I remember everybody knocking on the door and coming at me with a bunch of dogs, and I went out, like, another door, and I was running, and I had this is what I remember. I remember clearly having bare feet, running for my life. I had blonde hair.
I remember you telling us.
And the dogs were so close to me. They were like biting at the backs of my heels. And then I remember, the last thing I remember was that they got me and they were going to hang me. And the crazy thing is number one, I never cannot have something on my feet. I always have to have something on my feet. I can't walk around barefoot still. I remember also that before that, did I suffer from sore throats terribly. My whole life. Laryngitis. I would get laryngitis,
that's a really
sore throats.
good point.
Is that from screaming?
No,
getting
I would
hanged.
always just get
From the
that,
news.
Oh, from being hanged.
From being hanged in a previous
so
life.
you did get hanged.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
And that was the last, when I was in the regression, I immediately woke up, like, or snapped out of it when it hit that part where they let you go. But after that, I never had, like, chronic sore throats.
Yeah.
After that, I never had issues with that.
That's
I
a
realized
common
why.
one for
Yeah, I mean that.
regressions.
And then I realized, wow, I've been doing this for many lifetimes, because then I was holding my hands over someone, healing them, and I was known as that. So that lady had asked me to come there, but that husband didn't believe in that stuff and thought I was a witch.
Yeah.
So, which I guess technically I was back then.
I guess.
And and I can a lot of what I was drawn to doing and what I resonated with fit in that, So when I had that, it was an amazing experience for me.
Wow.
And it did alleviate. A lot of times that's what happens.
Yeah,
by
I've
the
heard
way,
of people
regressions.
who go to
Yes.
regressioners and they say, "Oh, I have this hip pain."
It
It's like, oh yeah,
alleviates
you
a
had
lot
a
of
car
things.
accident 3 lives ago, and then it would go away.
Yeah.
Just like you said, the acknowledgement of the issue of what happened. It's like what people who write books about past lives and astral projection, and there was a story from Robert Monroe. Basically, he was like projecting his consciousness, and he was helping people in their past lives, and it turns out he was helping his own past lives get through things so he can continue his current life. It was really weird. But I remember I asked you once in a reading a long time ago about past lives, and you described one where I had a life as a soldier.
Yep.
You told me I had a family and I left behind a lot of people, and I was a higher ranking officer in a different country somewhere, and I got shot in the chest below one of my breast plates. And I was like, oh, I actually have a scar under I have a huge birthmark exactly where you said that I was shot. I was like, I had this birthmark right here my whole life. No, I didn't even barely knew you. I was just asking you about past lives. You're like, oh, I'm getting you had this. And I was like, oh, it's cool. I actually have this birthmark right where you said I had gotten shot and killed in that particular life. Yeah. And it was just a fun, I
had a client
that's one of the things I was like, Jesus, this stuff is real, huh?
I had a client once who was terrified of needles, and I don't know if you remember me sharing this before when we did regressions, but she was terrified of needles, and then when she did a regression and went back to a past life, she found out she was somebody who was in one of those institutions where they did all these experiments on her, and they were sticking needles in her and all this other kinds of stuff, like back when they did lobotomies and all that. And so it was terrifying. So in that past life, it was riddled with horror. And when she found out that, the fear of needles disappeared because she was able to relate that fear went to a different lifetime. So once she knew the reason why, it wasn't something, because she was literally having anxiety and panic attacks over that. Every time she couldn't, since she was little, she couldn't go to a doctor. She couldn't, nothing that had to do with the needle. And even if it looked like something that was a needle, she wouldn't go near it.
You know what? Have you seen any of those, any of those little YouTube shorts where the dog is on the table at the veterinarian's office and she says, I'm just going to give you a shot. Oh, and all of a sudden the dog starts screaming and runs off and falls off the table. Yeah. I don't know how they do that, but I've seen all kinds of dogs.
Yeah. Well, do you know there's a lot of people that have a fear of needles, and I don't remember really liking them myself.
No, I don't. I'm so used to them now,
Yeah, I never I always thought it was interesting, but a lot of people who see a needle, or as soon as they see it hit the skin, they're out.
They pass out.
They pass out immediately, and that's a reaction. That's something that's built into you. You don't willingly pass out.
That's how I am with the deep water where I can't see the bottom.
Yeah, it's very vulnerable.
I couldn't not be able to touch the bottom of any. I would literally get panicky, and I found out, again in a regression, that I had a life on the Titanic. I went down. Somebody went down on the Titanic, and I remember other people who ended up sharing, oh my God, I found that out too. And even when we did them, there were a few people that found out that they had the same thing. And that's what I was saying about when you find you all end up coming together at some point. And that doesn't surprise me at all, because I don't like ships. I have no desire to go on a cruise. I don't want to be anywhere in the ocean and I hate the cold. But
this winter was great, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were living on an iceberg this winter.
Oh.
Past lives are always a fun one, because it's one of those things where we can all experience it, yet we have no clue how it works, or everybody wants to know how things work like that,
does.
But
Well, yeah. And do you think dreams that we have over and over again, those are indicative of a past life in a way?
Yes, especially if it's something where you're in a different, it's recurring, where you're in a different specific location or scenario. A lot of times you don't know the people. You might not even know the location you're in.
Yeah.
Well, I used to have one over and over and over. And it was like I would be crawling on my hands and knees up a bridge, the road of a bridge, and at the top it was broken too, and I'd have to look over the edge, and I remember being absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Every time I had that dream, and it was like I
Now, did you look different? Did you look like so that it's not, because a lot of dreams are symbolic, but when we're in it, we know it's us.
Well,
we look like us.
No, it was me, and I was young.
Yeah.
I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was going up, and every time I couldn't stand up, I had to crawl on my hands and knees, and when I looked over that edge every single time, I would just have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And
Because she didn't know what was over
I
the
didn't,
edge.
and I had the dream over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
I remember having dreams as a kid just like that over and over again. But like I had the dream of I got up, I jumped out of bed in my pajamas. I look down, I see this, I see my toys, and then I go to school, have the day. And I remember going to sleep and saying, I didn't like that day, I want to do it again. And I wake up and I jump out of bed, same toys, same clock, same school, same. And I'm
Groundhog
like,
Day.
yeah, I'm like, that had to have been like a dream of a dream of a dream, because I kept thinking it was for a
Like
while.
Groundhog Day.
I kept having the exact same
But
scenario.
you were you.
But I was still me. I didn't see
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
I saw my little white pajamas, little dinosaurs on them and everything.
Yeah.
But that's
Because
it.
most dreams are symbolic of something.
The dream
yeah.
was just a scenario. There wasn't like breakfast wasn't there. My parents weren't there. It was just like up, school, bed. Wasn't
Yeah.
happy. Let's do it again. Let's try it again. Wake
Yeah.
up. Do this different. Do that different. But like it. It was. They were just going through dreams. I don't think that was a past life thing, but it was definitely some kind of odd dream.
There are people that they'll have dreams and like it could be a woman and she's dreaming she's a man and
Right.
and she's riding motorcycles and like I don't even know what this means. And looking at the country, there was
Yeah.
actually somebody who said that. She's like, I constantly kept seeing myself as a man riding a motorcycle and I'm going across the countryside, and like when she would look down on the motorcycle, it was one of those states or places where there was no guardrail. So when you looked down, all you saw was the side, kind of like how way long ago some of the roads in Colorado were like that.
Oh, over
And-
the cliff. Yeah, you
yeah.
could go right over the edge.
Yeah, she was always doing that. No helmet or anything like that. She didn't know who it was, and she was always like, I don't know who that is. But it felt like it was me. And so she always felt like that was her doing it, because when she would see the image, it didn't look modern. It looked like years and years and years ago. So, a lot of people, they'll have those memories or those impressions when they're sleeping. 'Cause I always say, like, even when we have dreams or we get psychic information that way, or our loved ones visit us that way, sometimes that is the place where we are the most relaxed, and so we can receive that information. But we're not overthinking, we're not overanalyzing, which is why you're usually put into a regression so that you can retrieve those memories.
I feel like that kind of proves,
past.
like in my head logically, it sounds like it kind of makes sense that it wouldn't be the brain, because if you're in a flow state, you're not trying to think, you're not thinking, you're bypassing your thoughts, and you're just on that void of information that comes in.
Yeah.
And
You're just tapping into
the
it,
bear's chasing you through the woods.
Yeah.
yeah.
I got a lot of bear chasing me through the
I
woods.
remember you had one where you were a pilot, a female pilot, and I swear we thought she was Amelia Earhart. Do
Oh,
you remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And I remember she went down with the plane.
That's
I
a
dreamed I
mystery.
died.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
From
I had a lot of those dreams, especially growing
I
up.
crashed an airplane, and I saw myself burn up.
Oh my God.
On the ground. But
Oh, you saw it from a distance, so that was probably a past life.
I was up above it,
Yeah.
and I wasn't scared. I saw that.
Her soul had already
Yeah,
left the
you're
body.
like, oh, there goes that body.
And I wasn't scared. And I just said, okay, I'm going over here now.
I'll tell you, any out of body
jump into
experience I've
another one.
had, there was no emotional fear or anything. It was just being. You were just like, oh. But I think that the detachment of the soul, like in death, the actual detachment,
it just
is,
knows it's going back home.
That's like, okay, now I'm back. I know where I'm at
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
There's no chance that body's done. I ain't going back there. So like, you're pretty much free.
Yeah.
Free. And everybody says the same thing that have NDEs. Like, it's bliss.
But then
You
you know
just-
what? You would think I would be afraid of flying then, but I wasn't.
Right?
Then after that, I went and got my pilot's license.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So
Like-
it was like, okay. I
well,
wasn't.
if you have that cell memory, that soul journey of fearlessness, you can be a daredevil life after life after life. Or,
That's
That's-
you.
that's me.
like,
yeah.
yeah.
That's Dana.
Maybe your soul
I'm
is just
ferocious.
like, yeah.
The
that's
risk
funny.
taker.
Yeah. Not much scares me, you know.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
having dreams of falling off of bridges and stuff, but like not even the bridge. It's just weird, because like the memory of like falling was like quite frequent as a kid, but it was always like I was always conscious, and I woke up in the middle of the fall, and I always reawoke from the dream before I hit the ground.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people
You know,
do.
Yeah.
like right before impact. Oh shit! What the hell was that?
I did. I fell off the top of my bunk bed like that.
Like you, yeah. And
And
we
it
all.
landed on my arm. I remember I landed on my arm. I said, "Oh,
It's not a coincidence. We all have similar experiences like that.
yeah."
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, past lives, it's, like I said, it's a great topic.
It can roll into a million other topics.
You could talk about past lives for days.
Yeah.
There's so much information and so
Yeah,
many,
we didn't even get into
so many
otherworldly
experiences in real life.
Yeah.
soul journeys and stuff, having dreams about other planets and all that stuff, having past life as a fish or a dog or something.
We all have had a past life
All of us.
somewhere,
Yeah.
and a lot of times we bring that, those memories back in with us, in
And it
one way or
lays
another
dormant in
into
our
lives.
brains until the right time, until we
Yeah.
decide or whatever. If it's destined to remember.
Well,
Well,
we become a flight pilot, daredevil, Mayan, pyramid walker.
African safari. Elephants and hippos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And running with lions. Oh my God.
And panthers.
That's why I think we should all travel. Like,
Jaguars.
as human
Mean.
beings, we should all experience different parts of the world. Because how do you know walking into the Egyptian pyramid might not wake up something? Like I heard a lot of people talk about going on major site locations like that. Like I was just a regular guy on vacation, and I walked into the Pyramid of Giza, and I was like, "Oh my God, I remember this."
Yeah, you
This-
should.
I was
Anybody
here.
who's drawn to
I
something,
remember
they
it.
should like.
Like, wait, if I
Tune
go down
into
this,
it.
and this guy like walked into the pyramid, and all of a sudden he knew where to walk.
Yeah.
He knew where to go all of a sudden.
That's exactly the
He's
way
like,
I
oh,
felt
I remember
with the
this.
Mayan
Wait, let's
lady.
go upstairs. Is there a
Yeah.
staircase over there? Oh, there is, right? Yeah. Like, he remembered all of a sudden. All of a sudden. It's amazing.
I understand that, boy.
So cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a part of you.
Yeah.
I've done a bit of traveling.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. I haven't been to Egypt, though,
Yeah, that's one of my things.
Or Australia. I like
I used to
that.
have dreams
Oh,
about
yeah,
Egypt
we'd like
as a
to go
kid.
to
I would
Australia,
love to go.
too.
Oh, hell yeah. Australia? Be amazing.
We'll have to make a road trip.
That's
Do
a
some
road
ghost
trip.
hunting.
Can't drive to Australia.
Yeah.
Well, this was a great episode.
Fun.
Some
Yeah.
great stories.
Yeah. I think if we all think about our lives as humans, we can all account for like more unexplainable moments than explainable moments.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yes.
We had a
Yeah.
great time.
This was great.
Thanks
And-
for
Yeah.
listening.
Fun.
Yeah.
All right. Bye from Jackie.
Bye from Dana.
And bye from Rodney.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.